What's up, guys? We're gonna look at TIA today. This video is gonna be a little different from what I normally do. We're gonna combine some fundamentals with TA. A lot of you guys that know me from the original EC server where a lot of these OGs came from know that we used to stream a lot of TA with Retta, Bobby De Niro, and Sky. And we used to go on these rampages, like 4 to 12 hour streams. It was unreal. Like we would sit there and just basically dig up the next gem and try to get into microcaps early. And then, you know, we had a process. It was pretty much look up who invested in the token, meaning like who are the early backers, the VCs, what were the tokenomics from day one, how to get on whitelists, and a whole bunch of other things. So I'm going to give you a little insight to what that looks like. Today we're looking at TIA, and one of the things I like to start with is what is the circulating supply, right? So like how much float is actually on the market already, and what can we expect to come on the market soon? So if you look here, the circulating supply is about 20% of the total supply, and there's going to be inflation pretty much every year. If we go into here, you could see the allocation to each person. So like R&D ecosystem gets 26.8%. Series A and B, early investors, they're going to get 20 basically. Initial core contributors, these are going to be the devs that are basically working on the ecosystem and basically moving forward the project. 17%. Seed round, these are early investors, basically giving them the runway so that they can have a burn rate and progress the project while they're not making income or generating any income. Future initiatives, this is to incentivize developers to work on their chain. Genesis drop, incentivized testnet. So basically, you know, this is early ecosystem type stuff. And if you look here on the vesting schedule, you could see the cliff after 1 year, right? So in the beginning, the only people that got allocations were public on the token generation event, and then R&D ecosystem to obviously move forward the project. So after 1 year from TGE, they're going to do the big unlock, the first one, right? This was launched October 30th. So we're approaching the first event. It's coming up October 31st. They're going to be unlocking about 17%. Now, one thing to note, price, even though only 25% of the supply was unlocked, and most of that was to the public and then some ecosystem, the price from the top went down 82%. So this is with no excess net sell pressure. With an additional supply or flow of 16.4%, obviously there's going to be more sell pressure. It doesn't assume that everyone is going to be dumping, and it's going to be 16.4% direct impact on price, right? It's not guaranteed. A lot of the people that do get their tokens might just hold it and wait for the next wave up to sell, or they might be long-term and playing the long game where they believe this is going to go to $300 and they won't dump. But the point is, there is a potential for a dump. Now, one thing I noticed in the last year, obviously these new VC tokens have been AIDS, right? And just the high allocations, high TGE launch market caps over $1 billion, and a lot of that has been just shady, right? So be aware that with that extra sell pressure, there's going to be some issues, or maybe the price is going to take a tumble in the near future. The other way to look at it is in 15 years, you could see it's on a sliding scale. So the inflation is going to go down every year. But the point is there's more circulating supply. And with that new supply, there's going to be people dumping. So this doesn't give any indication of net sell pressure. It just says that the inflation is going to increase, but at a lower clip or lower delta every year. So just be aware of that. Now, one thing to know, I've noticed since this whole VC scam thing has been going on in the last year, any of the new shiny tokens like Arbitrum, TIA, SUI, all these coins, they tend to have a run up going into the token unlock. And a lot of the time people will short the unlock So they continue to run even past the unlock. And then you'll notice there's going to be an exhaustion pattern at some point, and then that's when I find the net sell pressure comes in. So one thing to watch with this is I'm expecting a run up going into October 31st. That means we got a good month prior to that, and potentially another 2 weeks after the event where this could keep going. So knowing that information, I'm trying to go long. Now based on the weekly, actually we'll start with the monthly just for a super high time frame. There was a raid of this high, and then it drew into the monthly internal, and it rebalanced more than half. So now your target is going to be the external high, $21, right? We'll go into the weekly now. Weekly, same thing. Your deepest discount, hold on, I might actually have to short mother on this video. Damn coin, raid the highs, son. All right, so here's the deepest weekly discount FVG. They tagged it, so now your internal has been partially rebalanced. Doesn't mean it won't come down again, but there is a bit of a shift, so your target now is the external high. So monthly and weekly are aligned on high time frame, which is good. We'll drop it into the daily. Daily is not aligned. Daily, I have my magnet set to down here. The reason being, we have this is bullish. We have a 3-tap setup of the bottom. 1 tap, 2 tap, 3. These usually go. But as of now, we only have a raid, a shift above these local highs, and we don't have a pullback into discount within this range. So if we treat this like the dealing range, somewhere into here, we want to draw basically into your OTE. Inside of that, you have a daily order block, and above it, you have a daily imbalance. So the imbalance is the draw, and the order block is hopefully going to catch price if it comes down. So I'm only interested in TIA on a larger pullback into discount. It might base here, and then apes might bid it up from this breaker, but the deepest like greedy entry is going to be down here. And then once you hit that cluster, all time frames, monthly, weekly, and daily high time frame are going to be aligned to the upside. So then going into the 4-hour, if my daily draw is still lower, which it is, the 4-hour setup is basically this is your dealing range. So your dealing range swing low that took this low, your dealing range swing high that took this high. You're looking at equilibrium around these stops. Discount is going to be in the gray box, which lines up with the daily target, which is in the OTE cluster over here. And you have one more order block, which is part of the daily order block. It's basically the bottom half. So what I'm watching for in the area to go long, I mean, you guys have seen me do this before, but basically bait longs around here, drop it into potentially the order block, and then start going up. Or what it might do, what I'm anticipating, is they might even stop it in the order block, accumulate more stops, and then take all the order block stops as well on the daily right here. So I'm indifferent where the price actually bases, but either way, I know that my daily and my 4-hour draw are lower, so I'm waiting for that to come in. When it does, I'm looking for a 15-minute entry on a 15-minute higher low. So at that point, all time frames, even down to the 15-minute, are going to be aligned to go up. Now, what am I targeting? If we go back into the daily, knowing that our weekly draw is up and we tag the weekly imbalance, I'm now looking for daily structure in between. So this is what I see. Raid of the high. Here's your order pairing. Push down below this original level right here. Close below. Pull back into this imbalance. Sweeping that high. That was your low risk sell. Distribution 1, 2, and 3. This one was a bait distribution because everyone assumed once they took these order block stops that was where the buy program began, especially when they closed above that high. They didn't displace with that much energy, but they did close above that high. So this baited a lot of people. And my assumption is with these 3 taps, they're accumulating the lows. And what they're doing is they're baiting and then stealing their stops. And some smart money and composite operators accumulating a bigger position on this coin for a larger move. So what is the target area to get in? I think the low risk buy is essentially going to be around this daily order block that shifted structure over here. So it might come into this daily order block and hold. I'm going to try to set an alert somewhere in the mid here just to be aware. But again, within this stealing range, that's still going to be in premium. So I'm only, if I do start building a position, it's only going to be a small one right here. So until they go below these stops, below equilibrium into discount, that's where I get more interested. That's why I'm saying I think this zone, you could even expand it into there where you have this daily imbalance. So between the daily imbalance and order block, that's going to be your low risk buy. And then after that, I think it's off to the races. So what I'm targeting on TIA this is going to be your weekly target, which is the mid of the weekly range. So if you just anchor from the Pico top to the nadir over here, this equilibrium is what I'm targeting for the weekly target. And it lines up very nicely with this liquidity pool and the -2 to 2.5 standard deviation from the last manipulative leg on the daily. So this is going to be a very solid target. At the extreme, you're looking at the -4 standard deviation above these highs right here. So that would basically be a big part of the move where I would take off 80% if we get that entry down here. So that's going to be the main target on the weekly, and then daily. I would use from this high that took this internal high. So basically here to the low that got rated. This is equilibrium above these highs. This would be like a TP1 or the scalp part of the trade I would be getting out of over there. So that's your daily target to take profit. That's going to be your weekly, and then standard for original consolidation. And then if you really want to be sassy with this chart, you could just use a trend-based fib to see how far this can project out from the token generation event to the peak high to the nadir, and you'd be looking at $30 TIA. So that would be the trend-based fib target. And I'll just drop that into there as well. So that's TIA. Again, there's going to be a token unlock coming up. Be aware. August 31st, 17% going on the market. New float means new net sell pressure. But going into it, I expect to move up. And even after this day, I expect front side shorts to get blown out one more time. And then look for exhaustion, especially if they take the original consolidation after the token generation, after the token unlock event. Then I would really be careful. Shit, my mother shorts coming. All right, gotta go, boys. Cheers.